Really exciting day here on Locked On Blue Devils today. We're talking all things Duke football and the future of Duke football. John Garcia Jr., the Sports Illustrated Director of Football Recruiting and the Locked On Recruiting Insider, joins us. And then two future Blue Devils, Grayson Loftis and Paul Davis, set to join us here on today's edition of Locked On Blue Devils.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. So glad to have you here with us on this Thursday. Today's edition of Locked On Blue Devils is brought to you by our friends at Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts. On today's show, as I mentioned, Grayson Loftis and Paul Davis set to join us here in just a little bit. They are two future Blue Devil commits on the football side of things, but thrilled to begin today's show by bringing in the Sports Illustrated Director of Football Recruiting and our Locked On Recruiting Insider, John Garcia Jr. And John, we've been talking a little bit. It's a brand new era for Duke football. It's a program that has never, ever dominated the football recruiting headlines. But nonetheless, if you want to win, if you want to succeed, recruiting is where you have to start.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, JJ. And Duke is one of those unique cells that we talk about in the industry where you're going to get strong academics, obviously. And then when you get on the field, you can sell kids on playing early, right? There's always a need for an influx of talent. And I think that helps Duke stretch its footprint from a recruiting standpoint beyond what you would expect. It's not just ACC territory and kind of that Atlanta to the Carolinas corridor. It should really be expanded. And I think that's probably the direction we're going to see Mike Elko and company going forward. And I think that gives Duke it's just a numbers game, right? It gives you a larger margin for error because you're recruiting more talented high school recruits in different areas.
Elko putting together a staff to now have to go out and recruit the future. Elko's experience relying on that, I'm sure, is something he's going to focus on at the start, being at big stops like Notre Dame, like Texas A&M. He played college ball at Penn, so he's very used to the academic rigor that a university like Duke might have. But playing at those bigger brand schools like a Notre Dame, like a Texas A&M, is that something you expect him to kind of use in his back pocket to help rely and build the recruiting background and blueprint for Duke?
Of course, JJ. When we talk about kids and who they get connected to on the trail, it's always people. It's not necessarily places or schools or brands. We fall into the trap of thinking that the kids have a similar perception to these schools that we do because we're older and we've been around more. We've seen ups and downs at different, programs, but the kids don't really experience that. A lot of them, don't start off as all in on football. They're playing other sports, doing other things, or maybe they come to the game later. But the point is you deal with kids through people. And oftentimes you see it on the recruiting trail where, a coach makes a move and all of a sudden a player follows them. You're committing to people more than a coaching staff or even a school or football program. So I think Mike Elko's experience having recruited basically the eastern half of America all the way down to Texas and having a lot of success, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, including some NFL guys, I think those are the things that begin to resonate because now it's Mike Elko has helped develop XYZ, not Texas A&M or Notre Dame, or in this case, Duke has developed. It's the people and the coaches who do that part. So I do think as you're trying to establish a recruiting culture and footprint, you want to reemphasize that, focus on the people because the kids' perception can and will change with basically all programs involved in their recruiting process. So you expect Duke to be in early on kids and to sell, again, that entire vision of a ring in one hand, a degree in the other hand from a high academic institution, supplemented by coaches who have been there, done that, and you see high-level college and even NFL footprints all over the staff that's been assembled. So I think that will sell as well.
Take this however you want it, but let's do the 3 to 5 year timeline, the past 3 to 5 years. Where is Duke football at in terms of recruiting?
Yeah, it's a hard sell. There's no doubt about it, JJ. I do think, though, that there's the footprint that Duke lies within, both in the ACC and certainly regionally and geographically. There's an opportunity to bring in consistent level talent. And I think the perception of Duke, again, from those who have been around or are older, is that, hey, it's a struggling low-end ACC program that is always on the cusp at best. But we've seen it, right? We've seen Duke challenge for the Coastal. We've seen Duke contend in the Coastal division in particular. And that division, I mean, to me, the stability there doesn't exist because it never has, right? So I do think that creates a more flexible perception when it comes to Duke, because you can go worst to first, and that division is about as recycling in nature as any in the sport. So I do think that, it's kind of corny, but, every year really does feel like a new year in the ACC Coastal, and that gives the people who finished towards the bottom the year prior a little bit more confidence and hope that they can turn it around quicker than most people expect.
Plenty of reason to build excitement, and of course we're not going to know results until we get into football season and see what exactly year one looks like for Coach Elko to then be able to go and sell that and sell the Duke football identity. But he's already got started, as he should, as every college football staff should do. You know better than anybody, it truly is 365 days out of the year. His first couple of commits are in. Grayson Loftis, the very first commit, a quarterback out of Gaffney, South Carolina. And then Paul Davis joining the mix as well, a wide receiver out of Hartwell, Georgia. Tell me a little bit about, and our Locked On Blue Devils listeners, about these two guys.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Grayson. I think he is an interesting quarterback recruit. You watch him on tape and you see a whole lot of trust in his own ability, which at that position is quite paramount. He's a good athlete who can really move, but he moves to throw. And I think that's what I like about his game. He's going to be a 3-year starter by the time he gets to Duke, and you've seen that steady progression through his first couple years of high school football. So all those signs, statistics are all pointed in the right direction. But what I really like about his future is his ability to throw the football off of different platforms. Usually you can be athletic, sure, but if you can't translate that into a refined mechanical motion and the ability to play off script, then you're kind of doomed at the position, because the game is getting wider. The offenses are getting more, quick to process. You need to go right now. So you have to have some good athleticism at your foundation. And I do think he has that at his disposal. But again, I kind of like there's a bit of a gunslinger in him. There are a lot of plays on tape where he is not getting through his drops. He is throwing sooner than I'm sure his coaches want him to, but he's fitting the football in there in the meantime. So he's got enough arm strength, and he's been building and maturing physically, Grayson has, to the point where, I think he's going to be a big frame quarterback by the time he gets to Duke. So I like the early identification by this coaching staff, and I liked for them that he committed so early, because when you want to build the class, it really is about the quarterback position, and only half the Power 5 at this point has a quarterback in the fold for the class of 2023, and Duke has had Grayson on board since January. So all those are very positive starting elements to look into.
And then Paul Davis, the wide receiver out of Hartwell, Georgia, joining the mix as well.
Yeah, similar in terms of that he's a little bit raw. I think the foundation is there physically. He's already like 6'2", 190. He's already a big physical wide receiver, has unbelievable ball skills, a trait we don't talk enough about at the wide receiver position. We get lost in the hands and the route running and all that stuff, but you can go up and get the football and you can track it before that point. You've got some natural ability, and I see that throughout Davis's tape. He's probably most comfortable after the catch at this point. They throw him a lot of screens there at Hart County, and he can make some guys miss, but he can run through them as well at 190 pounds. So I think the foundation is there. There's certainly room to grow from a technical standpoint as a route runner. They don't ask him to do a whole lot, so I'd be curious to see what kind of jump he makes from junior year to senior year, but big physical, great hands and ball skills, and kind of a defensive mentality after the catch. And he actually plays a little bit of defense as well. So you'd like that in a wide receiver when you start to scout them. But again, I think physically a high floor prospect, but technically he does have a long ways to go to improving his already solid stock. So again, this is a nice early get. When you get the quarterback early, you can start building skill position talent thereafter. And I think that's what Duke looks like it's on its way to do.
Yeah, just 2 commits so far for Mike Elko taking over for Duke football. Here we are in the month of May. You kind of look at a calendar here. Is Duke behind schedule where they would want to be? Or again, this is a fan base. I'll throw myself in this as well, where we're focused all the time on basketball recruiting. When is Peach Jam coming up? When are these big Nike UIBL events coming up? It's different in the football world. So when does that next flurry come in, if any? And are there any big targets out there that Duke should be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, the state of North Carolina is one of the best states in the country for high school football. Certainly top 10.
That's good to hear.
Probably creeping up the list. And again, that footprint extends to Atlanta, which has become, as important a metro area to recruit as any in the country. It's like Atlanta, LA, Houston, Miami, Dallas. I mean, those are really the biggest and best in the country. So the footprint regionally is there. Again, we expect Elko and company to expand that into Texas, into different parts of the country while selling that academic standard that Duke has established. But look, don't fret with the 2 commitments right now. Everybody is kind of going slow on purpose in recruiting. I think the ACC, there's like 9 teams that have 5 or less commitments right now. So it is certainly not a race for volume. It is more about patience and building what you want. Having said that, the summer will bring more commitments. It's just for a school like Duke, you got to get kids on campus for college camps. And that's where Elko and his staff will be able to not only offer and identify talent, but to prioritize that board in the first full cycle, under his watch. And I think those position camps that happen June into July will really be where we see some more prospects by nature start to pick Duke, because they will not only work out to solidify their standing, but they'll be on campus, right? They'll see Durham, they'll see that beautiful architecture and all that stuff. So I do think that is a natural time to add to the commitment list, but I do think that it's still early and they're still probably trying to navigate this plan here in the middle of the spring evaluation period. I know they've got coaches on the road identifying some talent in person. So when the kids reciprocate that in the summer months, I do expect to see a little bit more action on the commitment front, again, especially with a quarterback on board.
John, I really do appreciate the time as always. Looking forward to many more talks in the future and looking to see how exciting this Duke football program could be. Thank you, man.
Thanks for having me, JJ.
That's John Garcia Jr. joining us here on Locked On Blue Devils. And coming up in just a moment, a chat with Grayson Loftus and Paul Davis themselves. We want to let you know about Bet Online, our big sponsor here. Bet Online is your #1 source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, and this weekend's Run to the Roses at the Kentucky Derby. Bet Online is your continued source for all sports wagering information. Bet Online, where the game starts. Back on Locked On Blue Devils here today, JJ Jackson with a very special guest, Grayson Loftus, the quarterback of the future for the Duke Blue Devils, kind enough to join us here on the program. Grayson, I really do appreciate the time. Duke fans are so excited to see you playing there in Durham in the future. Tell me a little bit about the decision to commit and play football at Duke.
First I just want to say thank you for having me on. Just Duke is a special place. When people ask me that question, that's what I always lead with, because it truly is a special area. Durham's just a special place, filled with special people. The energy in the air with the new staff, Coach Elko and Coach Johns, especially on the offense side of the ball, it's just a new energy, new excitement about football that's in the air. And it was hard to turn them down when they came and they offered us on that Saturday. And it was just hard to turn them down and say no, and to see a program that's been good in the past that just has such a bright future under this staff.
Was Duke a school that you were hoping to hear from? Like when Grayson is dreaming about playing college football, was Duke one of those schools?
Yeah, it was. When we first initial got our interest from the previous staff, Duke quickly kind of became our dream school, just with how beautiful the campus was and just what everything at Duke is about. Duke's a national brand. Everybody from the smallest town in Georgia to the biggest town in California knows exactly who Duke is. It's a brand, a national brand that can be built off of. So it was kind of one of our dream schools growing up.
We see that every single day on the basketball side of things. And over the past nearly 20 years, Coach Cutcliffe had done that with the football, and Coach Elko is only going to take it to the next level. Tell me about your relationship that you had with Coach Cutcliffe and the previous staff, if any, Grayson.
We had a little bit of a relationship that kind of dwindled off towards the end of his career and everything at Duke. But I wouldn't say that it was a super strong one, but we had an acquaintance there.
What were you looking for in a school when you were looking for your college destination?
The two biggest things we were looking for was number one, was it a family atmosphere? We wanted a place that valued family, that treated football like the football team as a family. And that's something Coach Elko truly has built. They were honest up front with us about everything that they were hoping to build and that they were expecting from their guys. And everything he said to us up to this point has been true. And that was the number one mark of for us was it a family? And number two was just the competition. We wanted to come out and especially in those practices, and see people competing and getting after it day in and day out. And I think with everybody on staff's background and where they've come from and how they've gotten to Duke, you see that value of competition at every level. And you look at Coach Johns, who's been top 10 in the country in offense everywhere he's been in the last 10 years. So, he's one of those guys who truly values competition and production. And Coach Elko's the same way. I think that Duke football actually put out a graphic talking about 28 NFL guys under Elko at Texas A&M in his past. And, I think that's something we valued in choosing Duke, was just a level of competition that staff values.
Grayson, we've heard you mention we and us when you're talking about the college football recruitment process. I would imagine that you're referring to your family. How big of a decision did you want this to be with your family included?
It was huge. I touched on family being the biggest thing we were looking for, and that's because family plays a huge role in my life as well. I wouldn't be anywhere I'm at today without my two parents and without my sister. So, having such a tight, close-knit, tight family, it really truly gave me the insight on what it took and what I wanted in a school to be able to go in and walk into a family atmosphere. So, yeah, family played a huge role. I wanted my grandma and my grandparents to be able to come watch me play on Saturdays. So, that was a huge, huge deciding factor for me as well.
I know that the story goes it's a Saturday visit up to Durham, and you don't leave before telling the coaching staff that this is where you want to play and that you want to be a Duke Blue Devil. What kind of were those first interactions, though, with Coach Elko and Coach Johns? And honestly, just walk us through that full day, Grayson. Did you go up expecting the day to play out the way it did, or what were you expecting?
So, the part of the people that don't realize is we'd only been talking to the Duke staff for 2 weeks before that day. So, we had plans to go that next weekend, and we were making our decision that next weekend. And so, when we walked up and we got there that Saturday, it all just kind of started off with spending the day with Coach Johns and getting to know him a little bit on a personal level, and then meeting with Coach Elko and having a 40-minute conversation with him, where everything he said was just true and real to us. He didn't try and sugarcoat anything. He didn't try and tell us anything we wanted to hear. He just told us what he told us his spiel and was just honest with us. He wasn't trying to sugarcoat and tell us what we wanted to hear. It was just honest, and everything was real about it. The biggest thing that I noticed too was they weren't just recruiting me. The school was recruiting my parents as well. They wanted my parents to make sure that they were comfortable with everything that Duke has to offer and that Duke is. So, we weren't expecting it to be what it was and how play out how it did. But we were definitely happy and excited that it definitely played out how it did.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's that car ride back home like then, Grayson? Like you leave and you've committed all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, I think when we left, we hadn't quite had told the coaches quite yet. I think they had a pretty good idea, but when we got in the car, I told my mom and dad, I said, guys, I think that's the place for us. And that was kind of the conversation we had. And we actually called them that Sunday night. And that was the official. We called Coach Elko and put him on the phone and we told him what our plans were and that we were going to be his first guy to kind of build this class around. And we hit the ground running from there, and it was just all excitement on our end.
How cool is that? I mean, Mike Elko takes over. What a big career he's had as a defensive coordinator, and now he gets to be the head man in the ACC, rebranding, rebuilding a football program like Duke, and you're the first high school recruit that commits to Coach Elko. How cool is that?
It was an awesome experience. It was kind of something we had the chance to do, and we wanted to be. That was important to us. We kind of wanted to be that first guy for Coach Elko. because ultimately he took a chance on us to be able to be that guy. So, I've always valued loyalty in that aspect of recruiting, because you don't find it a whole lot. And so when he gave us that opportunity and gave us the chance to be his first guy, we wanted to jump on that and take that opportunity. So it was a blessing and a fun opportunity. And me and him will always have a special bond because of me being his first guy, and him being really truly the first guy to give me a chance.
You pointed out the draft success that Coach Elko had at Texas A&M, and you want to look at the draft. It's currently happening at the NFL level right now, and we'll see future Blue Devils in the future years get that chance to play at the next level. Daniel Jones, obviously one of the most noteworthy quarterbacks coming to mind, a top 10 player, a top 10 pick that wore Duke across his chest and is now playing at the next level. Did that give you any comfort or confidence knowing that, okay, I can play football in that quarterback position at a school like Duke and make it to the next level?
Yeah, it did. I think, Duke's got a long history of putting guys in the NFL. So, I think having a guy like Daniel Jones who's come to Duke and kind of taken a similar walk and made it, been that number 6 overall pick in his draft class, did give us a little bit of comfort. But then again, too, it was we had found the right place for us, and we knew that, God's got a plan and it's going to work out however it works out. And we trusted Coach Elko and Coach Johns that, as long as we do our part and they do their part, everything's going to take care of itself, and we'll get to where we're supposed to be at.
Knowing that in your playing career, you're going to get to be a part of the Duke and UNC rivalry, how exciting is that? That's a nationally known rivalry, and you're going to get to be the quarterback in it.
I think it's something I've felt since we committed, was just the rivalry already. Where I live at it's almost a little bit Tar Heel country, just because of our geographical location. So I think I felt it a little bit since I've already committed, and it's a blast. I love it. I think, getting a glimpse of it with the Duke North Carolina basketball rivalry. I think it can be that with football. It can be that same high animosity, hatred over relationships. So, I think, us getting back on top of that rivalry is obviously a goal. But it's exciting to be a part of.
We've got the victory bell each and every year, and it looks way better in the Duke shade of blue than it does in that Carolina blue. That's for sure. All right, you mentioned that now you're the first commit in this Duke class. Paul Davis is the second at the wide receiver position. Have you guys been able to connect, and what's that kind of been like?
Yeah, Paul's a special guy. I think he's not only a great player, but he's a great kid. He's somebody that I've got the chance to get to know on a few visits, and I got to know his parents a little bit, and I have no doubt that he's a really, really good dude that joins this class and this group, and being able to play with a guy like him is going to be fun and a special opportunity.
What kind of offense do you feel kind of most comfortable in, and what do you enjoy running the most?
I like the pro style, just whatever it takes to win. I like what Coach Johns is doing at Duke. It fits us perfectly with the spread. Going to have to throw the ball to win the game, but not completely abandoning the run. I think you got to be balanced to win football games. So, just whatever it takes to win the football game is where I fit in.
Grayson, if I say the words Dutch Fork State Championship game, what comes to mind for you?
Relief. I think people always ask me, was the feelings what you thought it was? And I always tell them no. I always thought it would be a different, kind of emotional feeling, but it was more of a sigh of relief at the end of the game, and that you did it. It was a group of guys. We had a tight knit team. Stuff had just fell our way all year. And I had no doubt that game was going to fall our way. But it was a special moment in the time, and there's clips of everybody crying and everybody on their knees just looking up and hugging each other. And I think it describes that moment perfectly when you look up and there's 11,000 people there from Gaffney that have been waiting 9 years to get back to the pinnacle of high school football in the state of South Carolina. And I think it was just a blessing and a special chance to be a part of that.
And to add to that, for folks that might not be aware, Dutch Fork wins 62 straight games. They had won 5 state championships at that 5A level, and your school, Gaffney High, able to pick up the state championship victory. With that in mind, yes, I would imagine you're super excited about the future to play college football, but the high school career is not done, Grayson. How much pride do you have to go out there and finish your last year with a lot of success? And maybe what kind of goals do you still have in your high school football career?
There's definitely a lot of pride in it. Gaffney is a place known for winning championships. They got 21 state championships in their career. So, I think when you're at a place like this, there's definitely a little bit of an edge and chip on your shoulder, and to just continue the winning and continue to be a part of those groups that win football games and bring trophies back to Gaffney. So yeah, I definitely got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder still of the job's not done at Gaffney High School yet, and Duke's going to be there when this season's over. So we're definitely still focused on taking this 2022 Gaffney football team and win another state championship.
How about that? So high school football will be here before you know it, and then you'll be heading off to Duke. Have you thought about early enrollee, or what's kind of your college football future, do you think, Grayson?
Yeah, so I'm going to mid-year. I'm
Okay.
going to roll in January and be there for spring ball.
Why do you think that's important, or why did you want to do that?
Just a chance to get on campus, kind of get started academically, get an extra semester and start a little earlier for us. And football wise, just a chance to get in the offense a little bit, learn, be able to come in and get to know the guys on the team. So that way, when the season hits, if depending on the situation we're in, I've been a part of the team, I've been a part of the squad for a little while, and have a good grasp of not only college school wise, but college and football wise, as it turns to that, as it is a big transition to the next level.
Grayson, you had mentioned you kind of want to be able to now help recruit the rest of the class. Again, just 2 commits right now in the class of 2023 for Duke football. What does that look like? Are you actively reaching out to guys? Or are you talking with the coaching staff a little bit about that? Or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I'm reaching out to anybody and everybody who gets a Duke offer. Just talking with Coach Johns and the offensive staff and Coach Elko on who they want, who their top guys are, and just reaching out to them and just letting them get a chance to know me and to build that relationship a little bit and ultimately make Duke football the best that it can be.
What's the one last message you want to leave Duke football fans with, or Duke Blue Devil fans with, Grayson, about the future?
The future is really bright. I think there's a lot of excitement and a lot of confidence in the staff, and it is well earned by the staff. I think with them, you're getting a group of guys who want nothing but for Duke football to be the best that it can be. And they're recruiting guys who are hardworking, guys who love football just as much as they do, who love Duke just as much as they do. So, I think the future's bright. The future is there. But just now time to come out the games in the fall and be excited about it and pack out Wallace Wade Stadium.
Grayson, we certainly do appreciate the time. Thanks for joining me today on Locked On Blue Devils.
I appreciate you for having me anytime.
That's Grayson Loftus, the quarterback of the future, here with us. Welcome back into the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. JJ Jackson here with, again, another very special guest, Paul Davis, kind enough to join us, a class of 2023 wide receiver from Hartwell, Georgia, the second commit in the class. We heard from Grayson Loftus, the quarterback, a little bit earlier. Now we get a chance to catch up with the wide receiver, Paul Davis. Paul, I appreciate you joining us on the podcast here. Tell me this, what was Duke a school that you were hoping to hear from when you started your recruiting process?
It was a shocking to hear from them, but I always knew that Duke, a prestigious school like Duke, would come for me.
What were you hoping to find when you were trying to figure out what school you wanted to go to and that sort of thing? Like, what were you looking for when you were trying to decide the school you wanted to go to?
The bond with me, my coaches, and my family.
Tell me about that. Tell me about the bond that you've gotten.
The bond that I have with Duke is very, very close. And, they come to my school every month, talk to me. They send me stuff in the mail. And they don't even just send me stuff. They send my parents stuff, which doesn't have my name on nothing. It says my parents' name. I let them read that. It's all for them. They call me, text me every day. It's a great thing.
So is it Zon Burden? Is it the wide receiver coach that you're hearing from? Is it Coach Elko? Is it Coach Johns, the offensive coordinator? Tell Duke fans who all's been reaching out to you.
The whole coaching staff. It's every single one of them.
What do you like about Coach Burden? Let's talk about him specifically. He's going to be the wide receiver coach. Tell me about your relationship with him.
It's I feel like he's a bigger brother than me. And when we talk, we don't just talk about football. We talk about all the other stuff. We just really, when we talk on the phone or when we together, we talk more about personal life, how I'm doing, how he doing. And when we do get on the football subject, he tells me what to get better. So when I get up to do, I'm already a step ahead.
I think I saw that he came and visited you there in Hartwell, you and your family. How much did that mean to you that this future coach of yours came all the way to your hometown, to your house, to your family to form that relationship?
I felt kind of special that he did that because not a lot of people get the opportunity. And when he did that, it was more, he told me he was coming, so I knew he was coming. And I didn't think nothing about it until he got there. And we just started just talking. I walked him around the whole school. He met my mom, my basketball coach, baseball coach. He met all of them.
Tell me about your relationship with Coach Elko.
Coach Elko is a fun dude, and he's a fun dude, and I love Coach Elko to death. He told me when I first committed, he said, Paul, you made a great decision. You made a decision that's not for 4 years, it's for 40 years. And that right there really made me feel like I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah. You have any relationship with Coach Johns, the offensive coordinator? Have you spoken with him?
Me and Coach Johns talk every other day. He actually came to my school last week.
Okay.
And he watched me work out, and he tells me about the playbook and stuff, and shows me what is going, like how I'm going to be using the offense and stuff like that.
Does it seem like it's going to be a big adjustment for you from high school football to college? Like when you look at that college playbook, what's that like?
I wouldn't say it's a big adjustment because my old head coach, which he left this year, he was an offense coordinator at Georgia Southern. So
Okay.
I'm used to having a college playbook.
What do you think is your best skill as a wide receiver, Paul?
My physicality and my jump ball.
Tell me about that.
I'm the type of receiver that I like to get dirty with it. I like blocking. I like the contact. And then my 50-50 balls, if you throw the ball up, I'm going to go get it. There's no other choice. I'm going to go get it.
What playing size? Like, is the coaching staff telling you how much weight they want you to add or anything like that? Like, what is your goal in terms of how you want to look when you start playing college ball?
Right now, I'm 6'1", 190, and my plan is to be 6'1" and 210. I'm trying to be a big receiver.
Okay. What's it going to take to add those 20 pounds then?
Whatever Duke put me on that meal plan.
Do you enjoy the weight room?
Yes, I love the weight room.
What do you like about it?
I just for some reason, I like the feel of pain. And like when you're in the weight room, it's just you in the bar. It's just you in the bar, and it's you battling that bar and see who's going to win.
So we take a look at Duke football, and I got to talk with Grayson a little bit about this earlier. And you guys are some of the first commits in the Mike Elko era of Duke football, a program that was led by Coach Cutcliffe for over a decade, and they were able to do a lot of great things. But it was time for a change. It was time for something new, something fresh. And so Coach Elko comes in. What does it mean that you get to be a part of sort of this new start, this refresh for Duke football, and knowing that you are one of the first commits to Mike Elko?
It's like before I even committed, I went on a visit. I committed like 2 days or 3 days after my visit. And we were sitting in Coach Elko's office. It was me, my mom, my dad, and him. We were talking about it, and he told me about Grayson, that how we already got a quarterback committed. So I'm thinking in my head, I want to go to a school where I already know the quarterback's committed, and get to know him, how everything works. So right after I left the campus, I followed Grayson on Twitter, Instagram, and I DM'd him. And I said, I'm thinking about committing. What are you going to do for the program? And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. And when Grayson told me what he was going to do and what I was going to do, it was all on the same boat, which made me think this is going to be a place where we can win ACC championships, national championships. Who doesn't want to go to Duke? Like, it's a prestigious school. When you have Duke on your front, that means something.
So tell me more about that relationship then with Grayson. Have you guys been staying in touch ever since that? I mean, you've been committed for a few months now.
Yeah, so I went up there for not their spring game. It was a week before their spring game, and it was me and Grayson. We was up there on the visit, And that's when I felt like me and Grayson got close because we was around each other the whole day. We went out to eat with our families. They took us on a campus tour. After that, we went and we played pool at their freshman dorm. So we just really built that bond.
So you talk about having the relationship with the quarterback and then trying to build out the class. Grayson said his move now has been, okay, if someone gets an offer from Duke, I instantly want to reach out to them and try and form a relationship with them and tell them why we can win ACC championships at Duke and that sort of thing. Are you doing the same thing? Are you trying to help recruit the class?
Yes, because we were the first recruiting class of Coach Elko, and we're trying to make a bang. We're not trying to. This ain't no rebuilding stage. This is just straight ACC championships when we get there. And one big person I'm trying to recruit right now is offensive lineman Jordan Knox.
Okay. Do you like Duke's chances of getting Jordan Knox?
Yes, I was testing him on Snapchat, and he said he's gonna drop his commitment May 15th. And he said the schools was Duke, Northwestern, and I forgot the other school.
Well, Duke's the only one that matters. Duke's the only one that matters. So we'll be on the lookout for that on May 15th. Knowing that you're going to get to be a part of one of the greatest rivalries in all of college sports, in all of sports, period, and Duke and North Carolina, Duke and UNC. I mean, I could see the look on your face. How excited are you that you get to be a part of that rivalry?
I'm excited because I always dreamed of like being in a big time rivalry. Like in my town, our rivalry is Hart County Bulldogs versus Elbe County Blue Devils. So I'm going against the Blue Devils. Now I'm going to beat the Blue Devil.
That's awesome. You mentioned that you play basketball, and Duke is very well known for their basketball program. How awesome is that you get to go to Duke and knowing that the basketball team is as talented as they are?
I really don't worry about like Duke basketball team because it's more. I feel like when people think of Duke, they're like, okay, Duke basketball. I want them to think of Duke football, as in Duke. You can come Duke to play any sport, and you're going to be getting the best coaching in all sports.
So I love that answer. I love that. And you're right. I'd love for it to be more of a national topic, the Duke football program. And I think it's going in that right direction with you and Grayson and the rest of the class that's coming together. Can't wait for this upcoming season. Speaking of the upcoming season, you're not going to Duke just yet, Paul. You still have a little bit of high school left. I'm curious, what kind of goals do you have for the rest of your high school football career?
So actually, I'm going to early enroll in December. So I'm going to play my last year of high school football.
Okay.
Now, I'm not playing basketball or baseball. So my last year of football, my goals are, one, to win the region championship. You got to start off winning the region championship. No, I can't say that. You got to start off winning every day at a time. If you win every day at a time, then the region championship will come. Then you got 5 rounds of playoffs. You win every playoff game. And then next is state championship. But my personal goal is to build a better bond with my teammates. So when I leave here, they don't think about Paul, the D1 athlete that just left. They're going to think of Paul, the great teammate, and the person I can come to at any time.
So I want to talk a little bit more about those Hart County Bulldogs, as you mentioned, being their star wide receiver. What's been your favorite memory of high school football so far?
I have 2.
Okay, give them to me.
One is my freshman year at Pierce County. It's when we was in the Sweet 16, and like nobody knew who I was. I was just a little 5'11", 170 receiver, and I had got the game, kind of like the game-winning touchdown in overtime. That was one of my favorite ones. That's when people started recognizing me, because the next in the Elite 11 game, they had started double teaming me, and I didn't like that. And my second one is when I caught that Hail Mary catch against Ringo my junior year.
I mean, those are great, and you got one more season to make highlight play after highlight play and go out with a bang before you go to Duke. So Grayson also said he's going to be an early enrollee. Talk to me about that decision. Why did you want to come in early?
to get ahead. And I feel like me personally, I feel like I've been in high school for 4 years. I've been in our system for 5 because I was up there in my 8th grade year, and I'm really just tired of high school. Period. And I feel like I'm more mature enough to go to college and start college early, and especially just to get my degree early.
You mentioned mom and dad a little bit earlier, that they were a part of your visits, that they got the chance to meet a lot of the coaching staff and that sort of thing. How big of a role have they played in your life? How big of a role have they played in your football career? And how excited are they that you're going to be joining the Duke football program?
They very excited. And it's not a lot of words I could say that explain how my parents been in my life, how they control my life. It's my mom's a teacher, my dad's a police officer, so I have some of the best parents, best people to look after me and to make sure I'm disciplined enough. Grades wise, my mom is a high school teacher, so every time I go to school, I see her and she asks me how I'm doing, how my grades. When I get home, my dad he asks me, "Did you do right at school today?" It's great because some people have two parents in their household, and I'm glad to have two good ones in my household.
Do you have any siblings, Paul? Are they excited about the chance for you to go play college football?
I have 4 siblings, and they are excited. Every time I go to Duke, they ask me where's my Duke shirt at, where's my Duke hoodie at.
You got to hook them up over the next couple of years. Paul,
I will.
do you feel 100% committed to your commitment? Like, do you feel like you're going to be a Duke Blue Devil at the end of the day, or are you still kind of keeping everything open?
I'm committed right now, but it's a lot of coaches trying to show love right now. They trying to change my mind. Like, for example, Auburn came by the school last Monday, South Carolina, Middle Tennessee. A lot of schools are coming. But as me, I made a commitment, and that commitment is going to stand. And it's nothing that really going to change my mind because when I talked to Coach Elko and Coach Bird, the bond I have with them is not going to break nothing anytime soon.
That's what we like to hear. What's your go away message here to Duke football fans? Like, what do they need to know about Paul Davis, and what can they expect for the Duke football program?
In the next 4 years, we're going to have an ACC title. We're going to have more than one. We're going to be the most hardworking team. The team that you're going to know is going to be in the top 25. We're going to be one of the best teams in the nation. We're going to be able to compete with SEC, ACC, Pac-12, Big Ten. We're going to be one of the best teams in the nation.
That's awesome, Paul. We look forward to watching you playing for the Duke Blue Devils.
Can't wait.